You know, they found the new particle they're saying now. You seen this new particle?
No.
That if it spins in one direction, it generates mass, but if it spins in the other direction, it doesn't.
No, they just found this?
Yeah. Right?
So it's generating mass from nothing, just from a particle spinning into mass.
Yeah.
Welcome to the New York Times Popcast, your preeminent ruckus of music, news, and criticism. I'm John Caramonica, a critic at the New York Times.
I'm Joe Coscarelli. I'm a reporter at the New York Times.
And I'm Bobby Diggs, a.k.a. the RZA inside your sector, the Abbot of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Bong. Bong.
You know what I mean?
The RZA is here. It's a big day on Popcast. We have a tremendous amount to talk about. This is one of the true legends of hip-hop, of pop music history of the last 40 years. I know when I say that, it sounds huge. It sounds vast.
Grandiose.
And I don't mean to age anyone in the room, but when you've been doing big things for a really long time, sometimes you have to step back and admire the scale of it.
Yeah, age is good. You know what I mean? If you ain't, people always say like, you're getting older or you're getting old. If you only got two choices in life. Mm-hmm. To either get older or die.
That's real.
And let's get as old as you can, bro.
Trust me, I'm working on that.
Even if you're 100.
Get older.
I'm sure you're going to be like, one more year ain't going to hurt.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
You're in this period of life where you've done a lot of looking back. You're always creating, you're always making new stuff, but you also spent some time over the last 5-6 years really thinking about the legacy of what you built with Wu-Tang and making sure it feels like it was correct in the public record. Like, when did you first start to think like, hey, I've been moving forward for 25 years, it's time to glance in the rear view a little bit?
As far as looking back, it was when other outlets started showing hip-hop and they started looking back. And when they was looking back, it was a TV show on Netflix, I think Hip Hop Evolution.
Yeah, sure. The documentary series, yeah.
And I was like, hold on, they kind of skipping some shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's funny how that happens.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, no, we can't let that happen.
Uh-huh.
We can't let it be skipped. You miss a layer or you miss a pillar of something, then the foundation is going to fall. So the Wu is actually a bridge for hip-hop. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it should be recognized as almost as a pillar, one of the pillars. Our founding fathers, of course, Herc and Flash and Melly Mel and Cold Crush and Fantastic Five, Funky Four, Fearless Four, Sugar Hill. We could go through our forefathers, Run DMC, even, right? Then we got our uncles, meaning those who were almost our peers, but only a few years difference from Rakim and Kane and KRS and them, right? When we came, we shift the dynamic. Mm-hmm. We actually make, if you go back and check a lot of the records that's not radio played, it's not going to sell 1 million records. Mm-hmm. We actually are allowing you to sell 1 million records being you. Mm-hmm. That hasn't happened, right? And now it's opening it up, and then it also opens it up, right? Even for international,
It's almost undervalued. Like when people talk about the '90s and they say, "Hey, you know what? Death Row, that's the thing that broke it open. Bad Boy, that's the thing that broke it open."
When I realized that part of what was being skipped was, our story, the Wu-Tang story, and what we helped bring to the culture of hip-hop and to even pop culture, if you want to dissect everything, it was important for me to take charge and be sure to tell the story and tell it the way I thought was best. If you notice, I told it with a documentary of Mics and Men.
Sure.
When got Sasha Jenkins to direct it, and he actually also was very adamant about who tell the stories. You could almost have some different producers and stuff. There was a TV show called The Chef's Table.
Yeah, sure.
I love that
show. Of course, yeah, great show.
Great production. So I was with them first.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and because I like things, even though my music is rugged, underground screeching trains, right? Like I still like the gravitas and the opulence.
You're an aesthete.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So that show was like, that's a great way to tell stories.
Right.
You can see the flower pop
A lot
off
of slow zoom
Yeah.
over the members of the Wu-Tang Clan.
It's a very luscious
Yeah.
way to shoot something.
Yeah, so I thought that, but then when I was talking to Sasha, it was like, nah, we got to tell the story, you know, the way that we could tell it, and have someone from hip hop also be the one who helps tell it. And Sasha come to realize one of the first covers that Wu-Tang ever blessed was the cover of a magazine called Beatdown. And he was the man, right? So, and I was like, that's kind of crazy that we went full circle. But to just kind of wrap the thought up, it was let's tell the documentary regardless of anybody's perspective. Right, I let everybody's perspective exist, even though I didn't agree.
I could see
that's
moments.
my next question. It's funny because that's.
And then the second layer was, and then let's tell it through cinematic.
Right.
And that's when the Hulu series. But
The
both of those ideas and both of those activities were parallel.
Right.
It wasn't like do one, do another. It was like, I'm going to put my creative spirit, my creative mind, and my business acronym and everything that I got to make this come to reality.
Right.
And team up with the right people. And put a lot of strength on it, a lot of focus, and bang, bang.
As you started to move the chess pieces of this sort of nostalgia moment for Wu-Tang, were you imagining the next steps already as you were 25, 30 years ago when you started this Wu-Tang journey? When you put out the doc and the fictional series, the books start coming out, you're making appearances. Were you imagining this Vegas residency and now this tour, which we want to hear about from you?
Yeah, to be quite frank, you know, it all was part of a plan. It was so in the beginning there was a 5-year plan. So what I decided this time was to do 2 5-year plans and have them go parallel. Or actually, I call it the relay plan.
Okay.
Yeah, break it down.
Yeah, speak on it. Yeah.
Okay, so your relay plan is this. You know that this, to get from point A to point B will be 5 years, but you're headed to point C. And to get to point C, that's 7 years. But you have to start, you know, the first plan, which was documentary to get to the series. Right, then that's going to build up to the first tour, which was New York State of Mind. That's going to then build up to a residency, but a test run first, and then that'll lead up to a tour, a final tour.
Right.
Right, and then after you complete that, if you succeeded in all those steps, then you can potentially sit still at a residency and ride it out.
Sure.
So now we're announcing to the world, you know, Wu-Tang is forever, but we're announcing the final chamber.
Everybody's going to be
Everybody has agreed.
Everybody's agreed.
No, seriously,
which is not nothing.
No,
That's
everybody has agreed to do this.
Yes.
Everybody's agreed on the name. Everybody's agreed that, let's, to put it in slang terms, let's run around the globe one more time together.
Yeah.
One more time, let's run around this globe. You know, so we may come to your city, and you'll see all of us together, and that might be the last time you see us all together in the physical. You might go watch us on TV or this, but we're not coming to your city again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when we come to your city, and you see these 9 men who've done their legacy in hip hop, and they're coming to shake your hand one more time in the physical form. Yeah, that's something special. You know what I mean? For those who look at it as special, right? And we want you to come and break bread with us. And there's so many places we really haven't been. Like I said, we haven't been a real touring band.
Everybody agreed off rip when you laid that out? Was there anybody who said, I'm not ready for the nostalgia run, I'm still vital, I'm still putting out records, I can't look backwards?
Or was the plan only up here?
No, the plan was verbalized, but I don't know who understood it, who didn't understand it, because it wasn't a Congress, Senate gathering plan. It was like a meditation for myself, and then a presentation of here's the plan. You know what I mean? Because everybody got their own managers and everything. So like, listen, here's the plan. Now, in the course of the plan, I was advising them, we can accelerate it and make it even more valuable if every manager and everybody's publicist really combined. I said, at the end of the day, we got a small Google or small Apple if you really look at 20, 30 people that's working for the same cause. But those causes are kind of separated because this guy's headed left, he's headed right, he's headed up, he's headed down. But the idea was enough people, when I first presented this, that it should have multiplied more. But you know, it was like, okay, that's his plan. you know what I mean?
So one thing I feel like when you read about how like all the Star Trek stuff works or all the Star Wars stuff works, there's always this kind of master narrative. Like everything has to make sense with everything else. Like if there's a book, the detail in the book has to line up with something in Return of the Jedi, which right? And
big Star Wars guy over here.
I'm just simply saying,
Me too.
I'm a big process guy. So one thing that I've been thinking a lot about in the wake of the documentary series, the Hulu series, You God has a book, Raekwon has a book, Ghostface has a book, you've had your books. There's got to be things that disagree.
Yep.
And I wonder, especially given how you were in the early years, where you're like, it's my ship. It's like I'm in control.
You've called it a dictatorship
Yeah,
at times.
But, yeah.
Given that, what is it like to let all the separate narratives live? Because there's got to be stuff in Ghost's book that doesn't line up with something in the Hulu documentary or in the Hulu series or vice versa. You have to accept that on some level.
Yeah.
But I wonder what that process of coming to terms with everybody else's narrative.
It's just it's a two-step process. One, let me do the first step, which I'm gonna do. It's gonna sound egotistical, but it's not egotistical. So even in the Bible, you get the 4 Gospels, and they're different. Okay, and this is what we base, you know, our Western religion and culture on.
Sure.
But yet, one God said this,
And the other.
one God said that. So even in something like that in Scripture, you find that, right? So then when it comes to Wu-Tang, for me, as I matured, I realized that that perspective is different. Like right now, in this room, as we're looking here, you see it, but you don't see that cactus behind you.
Right.
And you might not never look there to see it. I'm like, yeah, we was in the room and had the cactus. You're like, fucking cactus.
Right.
It was an orange New York Times thing right there. And I'm
It's
like,
Rashomon.
nah.
It's Rashomon, right?
Right. But the truth is still the truth, right? And so perspective is not truth. Perspective is how you saw it. And so, as Inspectah Deck said, hit you with 360 degrees and form a circle. So to hear everybody's perspective, then we get the circle. Then once you get the circle, you could then distill the reality from the fact or the fiction or from a misinterpretation. Everything that we do, even right now, our podcast, this is for entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? You will get some information in this, but we're here to entertain you.
Sure.
So within that entertainment, there's art. And within that art, there's the objective and the subjective.
Sure.
Creative license.
Yeah, and you got to respect that. And then when you look at Wu, you're looking at lyricists. So even
Storytellers.
So even when Ray said, I grew up on the crime side, the New York Times side. Here we are now at the New York Times. And this is before
Bienvenue.
this is before we would probably even imagine that we'll be part of the zeitgeist of the New York Times.
Sure.
You can open up a issue or article and bong, here we are. You know what I'm saying? In a negative light sometimes and in a positive light.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't like our journey was all positive, right?
Right.
So to me, that's the beauty of it. But I never, I don't take art or business personally. You know what I mean? Business is business, art is art. Personal is, you know, if you just put your hands on me, yeah, that's personal.
Right.
If I put my hands on you, that's personal.
If you look at the actual composition of Wu, it's both family, actual family, but it's also close friends. Like, so, you know, these are people
it's
from your
family.
childhood. This is your childhood and teenage years made manifest as adults. Is it unusual to be pitching a plan to a manager as opposed to pitching it to your family member or pitching it to your friend?
No, because business is still business, right? You're dealing with success.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, yo, you know, Ghostface has a plan for Ghostface, you know what I mean? For his children, his family, his art, his sound. He might be like, yo, I'm doing the wizardry of poetry, yo. I'm not into all that shit right now. So because of the ability for everyone to do what they do and to have their management, their team, their little staff that depends on them or their family, yeah, it has to be cohesive and also, what's the word, conducive?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it has to be conducive. Like, okay, and so what I strive to do is like, look, here's the plan, right? Part of the plan will require them. Part of the plan don't require them.
Right.
But you have the ability to give as much as you want. Like, let's talk about the series for a moment. So for the series, everyone is there as a consultant producer. Everyone receives, we're in TV business, so everyone receives a check every episode.
Sure.
Every episode you get a check. That's what right? You could get a bigger check if you come in the room, right? You could get whatever. You could become whatever this outlet allows you to be.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody wanted to be a writer. I don't doubt that the pen of Inspectah Deck or the pen of Method Man or U-God or Masta Killa or the RZA couldn't give us a beautiful piece of art that's cinematic. You know, they do it in their lyrics.
Of course. So we're talking about the tour and this sort of final tour, and you use the word conducive, which I think is a really potent way to think about it, because you have to somehow have everybody be on stage at the same time, convinced that being on stage at the same time is the best idea for them.
Exactly.
So you made your pitches, and eventually now we're on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what you imagine that's going to be like? Like, talk us through, like, who's going to be there?
Okay.
What is
As
it
best
going to
as
be?
I can.
And how do you think this tour experience will be different from any of the prior Wu-Tang tour experiences, which, as you mentioned, have been a rollicking ride for those of us who have been here the whole time?
Well, let me say this to us first and to the listeners. Welcome to the Popcast.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But anyway, no, so Wu-Tang hasn't been a big touring band, if you really go back and check our history, right? Once we had made success, especially once we got to 1997 with the Rage Against the Machine tour, we actually walked off the biggest tour in the world at that time, right? Without remorse.
It was maybe the most powerful thing you could have done in a perverse, counter-narrative way.
Say why, briefly.
No, why? Because a lot of us weren't prepared or engaged in what that was. It didn't, it was counter to what some of us was feeling, right? It wasn't. I think the foresight wasn't there for some of us. And the last thing I could say is that the 5-year plan that came to an end.
92 to 97.
Yeah, so it was like it was like I couldn't enforce it. Like it was like, okay, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. I didn't think it was a great idea. I mean, it ended up being me and Zach on stage one night.
just you and Zach.
And Zach leg was broke. I mean, it got deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So all of Wu-Tang went their separate ways.
It's just start getting soggier and soggier. But point being, maybe we weren't a touring band.
Right.
We, in those days, our money came from the studio, came from the system, it came from the
making
labels.
Albums,
yeah, you
getting advances and
you go
royalties.
Get your $1 million, go get, and that's good life, right? So we didn't really start touring until first some of the guys was touring without me, like in 2010. You know what I mean? And I joined it, and it was very uncomfortable.
Because you weren't steering?
It wasn't the quality, the level of it, yo.
Yeah.
It was
felt thrown together.
It was soggy. It was soggy, bro. And it was like, I was like,
it's not for me.
Yeah, but I could make it better if you guys want me to kind of put my chi on it. Yeah. And then so I did put some chi on it. And
we often find ourselves saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Let us put our chi on it.
Our chi on it.
Exactly, it'll get better.
And it got better. And so then we had some successful touring, right? But not at the level of what the brand is and what the band meant to culture.
Yeah.
So I eventually got with my team at CAA and was like, how would you guys like to represent Wu-Tang? And I'll bring the whole team over.
As a full entity.
And had some good people at CAA, and we took a shot and we brought it up to the level it needs to be. So then the first really big tour that's like cohesive is my buddy Colin Lewis at Live Nation. We had a great conversation. It was like, yo, let's do a real tour. Wu-Tang and Nas.
Yep.
You know what I mean? New York State of Mind.
Yep.
And I said, call it New York State of Mind. And everybody's like, why New York State of Mind? That's a Nas song. I said, no, because that's the state of mind we want to bring. Okay? He may have coined it. Actually, Billy Joel, but
Well, yeah, exactly. But
we'll give it to Nas.
The Nas of his day. For the purpose of
exactly, right?
I'm always saying that.
No, he is. No, I'm a big Billy Joel fan. But point being made is that let's do that. Talk to Nas. He was like, yo, great. And we did it. And it was a very successful tour.
Who was on that tour from the Wu?
It was the Wu-Tang, but every member wasn't there.
Right. Who was there and who wasn't?
Meth missed a big chunk of that tour. RZA was in and out of that tour. It was rotating. Right. It was a consistent 6 members, but we had some rotation going on.
Sure.
And for the fans, you show up and you don't know who you're going to get. It's dealer's choice.
Yeah. And that I don't like that, to be quite frank. Even though the music speaks for itself, you know, it's amazing to look at 9 artists, gold and platinum, all in one family.
Of course.
Backing each other up, dropping every bar and every verse. It's something amazing about that.
And also, you know, there are people for whom they love Wu, but like Deck is their guy.
Yeah,
they love
Wu,
but RZA's their guy. And if they show up to the Aspen, Colorado date, and their person's not there, it just doesn't hit.
Yeah, it's almost like, yo, somebody didn't put no salt on it.
It's missing
some ingredients.
Yeah.
So, but on the second New York State of Mind, it got tighter. Still had some fallouts, right? But most importantly, though, it was successful.
Right.
Right? And so success breeds success.
Yeah, does it become more successful because the guys see, oh, there's a regular check here and it's a bigger check than now I'm going to make from recording music or touring solo? Is it driven by money or is it driven by the fact that it was clicking creatively on stage?
I think both, right? I think it's business, so you got to be able to, you got to have some cheese on it, right? But I also think that for the Wu-Tang, the spirit got to be right.
Yeah.
Seriously, if the spirit ain't right, you can't pay RZA to show up.
Right.
Straight up. You can't
There's
pay
no
me
amount of money.
You can't pay me to show up.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, you know, there was a time where, you know, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling it. And it was almost 2 years. I wasn't feeling it, so I was cool.
Right.
And then Raekwon hit me up. Was like, yo, I'm doing this documentary. I would love for you to be a part of it, you know? And I was like, you know what, yeah. I could come there tomorrow.
Yeah.
He was like, okay.
Yeah.
And I came there tomorrow. And then from that day forth, I was good. You know what I mean? So but if you'd have called 2 weeks earlier, nah, because your spirit got to be right. And I think our spirits are right.
When you went on the Rage tour, there actually wasn't an equivalent hip-hop only tour that you could get on.
Right.
Because hip-hop touring in the 90s was not that
no
solid.
business, yeah.
No one, I mean, it could have been a business, but the touring agencies, the venues, it wasn't lined up
dangerous.
like that. It was perceived as such. And then what's interesting is when festival culture started in the mid-2000s, a lot of those festivals were like, well, everything but rap.
Right.
That's nice, but yeah, like we'll have Bjork. But we're not going to have, you know.
Yep.
And so there are all these windows where people are making a lot of money on the road. But I think you're right in that it's really not until the late 2000s into the 2010s where people are like, you know, where there's a lot of money on the table. What if we get everybody we love from the 90s from hip-hop and put them on the road? And then that audience is matured and they can afford the tickets and so on and so forth.
And the 50th year anniversary was a big blast for the culture.
Sure.
You know, seeing a lot of great legends come back out and able to go and make business with it, you know. So, but still for Wu, you know, through all the things we've been through, time and music and art and family, we still have the strength to come together for the sake of our music and our fans and present ourselves. You know what I mean? And as you know, and present ourselves well. You know, it won't be nothing soggy.
Right.
You know, the funny thing, I can tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
So on the New York State of Mind tour, on the first night or two, you know, we haven't been around each other, right? And
Still a little,
and we
frisky.
didn't get the rehearsal. We got one rehearsal, and then the next night it was a show,
Right.
and it was in Indianapolis,
Right.
which is not a crazy, you know,
Yes.
crazy hip hop town, right?
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd, right? Like out of a 16,000 seater, it's only 10,000 people there. You know what I mean? So it's not even a sellout capacity.
Yeah, sure.
And so our sync was off, and that's a fact. And we had a locker room moment. I'm talking about like a 4-hour locker room moment.
Team meeting.
After, yeah. And we, you know, and my brother Devon was there. And Devon, he doesn't hold his tongue. He's like, y'all was shit. Like, basically.
Yeah.
He was like, yo.
Get in the gym.
Yeah, he was like, yo. And he was like pointing out everything. He told me, you got your arms out, no muscles. You know
He's
what I
like,
mean?
put some sleeves on.
Put the sleeves on or hit the gym.
One or the other.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, what you doing? What y'all doing?
And he broke that down for everybody, basically.
Yeah. And,
How
you
do
know,
people take it?
some walked out, some cursed, some walked out, came back. And 2 nights later, the next night it got better. Then the third night, it was, okay, that's the Wu-Tang.
Right, sure.
That's the Wu-Tang.
Sure.
Took some reps.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get those muscles back. And that's how it is, right? But point I'm making by sharing that is that when you are good and great, right? And you keep those muscles going and you present that to your audience, it's a sight to see.
Of course.
9 great motherfuckers going into their shit, even at the age.
So who are the hurdles? Because we're 5-10 years after, you know, you guys getting back together, start touring. Older, everyone, family, business, as you say, different priorities. Like, who was there a holdout? Like, tell us a story about getting the band back together.
Yeah, it's always you never know who. That's the point.
Right.
It's like you be like, I got that. Oh, shit,
we
this
want-
guy. Yeah.
Snuck out the back.
The thing you could do though, right? I'll just speak business. Is really just simply ask everybody like, what do they want? What do they need?
What's it gonna take?
How does it work for you?
Yeah.
Time wise, you know what I mean? Dollar wise, comfortability wise. You know, somebody may be like, yo, listen, I don't want no more than 2 people in the dressing room with me. Okay, yo, could we work that out?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, what
Okay.
other kind of requests? Like anything surprising to you when you said we're going to do this, and then one of the guys hits you and said, "We'll do it if."
No, it wasn't nothing surprising. You know, I said what Method Man said to me one day. Like, he said, you always talk at me.
Yeah. That's a challenge.
Look, I'm a film director, showrunner.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
You're used to having things your way.
And that's an issue sometimes.
Right.
Uh-huh.
When
And
I-
what did you say?
No,
Yeah,
I just took. I just listened. Like,
Yeah.
And I always ask my wife, like, what do you think about
What'd
this?
she say?
You know what I mean? She's like, you could be that way. I said, all right. I said, you know what? So then I said, well, let me just ask him what he want.
Right.
And then when I asked him what he wanted, he said what he wanted, and we was able to make that happen. He didn't tell this to me directly, but he told it to someone else who came, and it came to me third party. He was like, yeah, I appreciated that he approached me as a businessman, as
Right.
an individual. Not like, you know, I'm not a, you know, I know he's the Abbott, but I'm a general.
Right. Right.
You know,
He's not
and-
the employee and
Nah.
you're the employer.
Nah, that's
It's
not the party.
that.
That's not the party.
Right.
And I know that, you know, but as the Abbott, sometimes it's still your destiny to be the best knower. It's still your destiny to be like, look, this is what we need to do. This is the time for it.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And trust is one thing, love and trust is another thing, but then also just making sure that everyone is satisfied in their journey
Sure.
and getting on this journey. You know, the last brother I had to call is my teacher. The last person I had to call was the Jizza. And the Jizza is my teacher, so he could do almost anything he want, and I can't say nothing.
Right. That's the person that the Abbott
Yeah.
has to submit to, one way or the other.
And he does it too. Like, they be like, oh, the Jizza, nothing I can do.
So how do you react?
He said he's in.
But you were prepared for a no?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I called them directly. Also, like I didn't.
No manager to manager.
No manager to manager. You know, I called a few of the brothers directly, regardless. You know, but for him, I was like, yo, you know, because if you he didn't make the Vegas shows. He didn't do not one show at the residency.
None.
No. And whatever reason, that's his reason. I don't need an explanation from him.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I won't, you know, like I said, he's my teacher, so give me an explanation. That ain't happening. And I revere him, to be quite frank.
Sure.
But I was like, yo, you know, we about to do this last joint, and I, you know, want to know, you know, are you interested in it? Do you have the here's the time, here's the flow,
Right.
okay, here's the business potential. You know what I mean? You could finish the nooks and crannies, you know, with your team, but are you in?
Spiritually speaking.
Yeah. And he said, yeah, I'm ready.
Good.
I was like, that's a blessing. I said, I'll break it more down to you, you know. I said, you know, there's some creative ideas I want to run by you, you know, and with the rest of the team as well. I'm going to send you some creative things that we already started, because, you know, we created some ad mats and some, you know, just some, I've been creating for almost 6 months on this, you know what I mean, before even, we was creating before we even decided to call it, before we even told the guys.
Sure.
Just preparing it. With AG, and so and I call it Jizza Justice, because that's his name. Justice was like, yo, man.
It's an impolite question, but is anyone pick up the phone and say, yeah, well, how much is so and so making? Like, how much is the quality of the money?
That hasn't happened. Look, that could be happening on the managerial level. You know what I mean? That makes sense. You know what I mean? But I think
because there is a hierarchy, I assume.
No, there's a hierarchy, but I do think that at the end of the day, it's almost like one thing that the team was able to do was whatever everybody was making on New York State of Mind.
You can improve upon that.
We have improved upon it. You know, if you get a 10% raise, that's cool. If you get a 20% raise, how about that? Don't bank for a 50% raise. That's now.
Right.
Now
we're talking crazy.
Now you're straining it. I mean, no lights. Okay, we need lights.
Have people accepted where they sit on that hierarchy after all these years? Like, do you feel like it's A, do you feel like it's fixed? And B, do you feel like people know where they are in the power rankings?
I think that everyone can measure their own equations as they go out to face the world alone and see their value. And then if they come back to Wu and that value is at least that or better, you can measure. If that value is less,
right, then you have a problem.
You got to have a problem, right? So I just use a simple term. If I'm making $1 by myself, and then I go with the Wu and I make $1.25, I'm not even $1.05,
right.
but $1.05 might not move me,
right? Because when you're on your own, it's your rider, it's your
$1.10 might not move me.
Sure.
$1.25, let's move, baby.
Sure.
Let's, and I get to see my brothers.
Yeah, of course. We have a party. You know, it's like,
So I think that's the equation that everybody looks at it, and I think, you know, there was one point my brother Divine, when he was head of the business, because he was head in 2017, and then I asked him to, you know, step aside and kind of let me, because it was such a. He's such a dominant. He's a Leo, so Divine. He don't. You know, he's coming hard body on you. And we needed some diplomacy, and also not taking nothing from my brother who really helped us get to who we are and helped me. Like, my brother is actually the guy that when I wanted turntables, he's the guy that hustled in the streets and bought the turntables.
Sure.
And let me. Now I'm in the crib all day. Me and ODB, we not hustling. We funking up the room, making music while he's out there risking his life. So he's always been that yin and yang for me. And when he got into the business, he became the CEO of the company, right? But at that time, I was like, you know, let me guide it. But he was like, hold on, I pulled everybody Polestar.
Let's see the figures. Let's see the touring figures.
And when
Here's how much so-and-so
exactly. When he put the Polestars on, it was like, he was like, yo, look what you.
Yeah, right. He's moneyballing the situation.
Yeah.
He's like, the trades say you're worth this.
Yeah.
But you're like, let me work it from an emotional angle.
Well, I'm gonna say, I respect that.
Yeah. We'll start here.
Right. No, I want to start there though.
Okay.
Right. The reason why I want to start there, because knowing your value is important. Right. And so it's like, I know that Wu demands a certain value, right? Based on the capacity of what we can attract. So knowing that, I know that I could stretch it a little more this way. And so I would say that if that person was only getting that dollar, and I know that I could get them $1.25, I'm going to get them that $1.25.
Sure.
And then if somebody say, well, look, try $1.20 because this way, you guys can have a better bus or this.
Right.
I go, all right, I'll try that. But if then now if that doesn't move the person, it's like, well, we could give you the $1.25. You know what I mean? But we're moving on to now it's 12. It's a 12 bunker.
Also, are you guys on a bus together?
I mean, there was times, yeah. Not now.
Not these days.
No. Now it's like there's so many damn buses, bro.
I can't even imagine the buses.
It's a traffic jam, just the Wu.
Bro,
Just to get
that New York State of Mind tour. First of all, New York State of Mind, you got Wu-Tang Clan. We had Busta Rhymes the first year.
Yep.
And Nas, right? And the way those buses are pulling up, it was like a car show.
I bet.
Then somebody may have the double. People was balling their buses.
Comparing buses.
People was balling their buses.
I bet that.
I actually came with a pretty nice bus myself.
What's the best feature on that bus, of your bus?
Oh, my bus was killing because I had both transformed in the back. I had the front and back transformer, but mine's already had the built-in little dressing room.
On top of that.
Yeah, so I had the stylist
on the bus.
On the bus. So
Right.
I ain't on the front. When on that first tour, and I was coming out with the gear, some of the Wu brothers, because they wasn't kind of getting the gear, they kind of was keeping it classic.
Yeah.
They was like, oh shit, Abbott trying to smack some shit on us.
He didn't come to play.
Yeah, and I was doing it, to be quite frank. I do my shit just for inspiration. You know what I mean? If you catch me normally, I'm just cool. I could wear the same pants every day.
Yeah.
But when it's time for art, when it's time for entertainment, it's like, nah, it has to have a magnetism.
It has to have the character.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something, I was going through old transcripts of times when I spoke to you, like in the late 90s and early 2000s. And one of the things that you talked about was obviously how important Wu-Tang was to developing character in hip-hop. And there were a number of things that we now take for granted in hip-hop and pop more broadly, that when y'all were doing it, you were doing it first.
Right.
And it was untested waters. It was untested for someone to be like, I've got 3 alter egos.
Right.
It was untested.
Or 6.
Or 6 or 20. It was untested to be like, we're going to tour with a big rock band.
Right.
And in a way, you missed out on like the golden era later of hip hop touring because it came too late. But that kind of forced you into unconventional strategies. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about stepping into the breach, in the 90s and being like, well, damn, there isn't a way for us to do a big tour unless we go with Rage and all the white boys. Can you talk a little bit about the uncertainty of stepping into those moments?
Well, being a pioneer of something, right, is or was actually the aspiration of me and ODB.
Okay.
Like, so, of course, RZA is our teacher, but me and him had this aspiration, you know what I mean? Like, to carve our own path.
From the beginning,
From the
you knew
beginning,
that was the
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
You didn't happen upon it.
Yeah, it was like it was aspirational, and it was like the idea of it being something special and being almost mythological superhero and all that. That was like the aspiration of it.
That was the blueprint.
Yeah. So then now you're successful with it, and now what's your outlet? You're going to the touring. And no, there wasn't no touring like that, but there was club dates.
Right.
Right, and your club dates in colleges and all that. That's fun.
Yep.
And you can make some cheese like that, but you're not going to make it to the top of the food chain.
Sure.
Like that. And so my idea, along with Steve Rifkin and Rich Eislerton, we talked about it. It was like, yo, Wu-Tang would Rage. I'm going to tell you a story.
Yeah.
I was in Manhattan by a payphone, and I hear this kid on the phone, little white kid, right? And he says, I guess he's talking to his parents, whatever, mom, whatever, but I overhear him say, Yeah, New York is good. Mom, the best thing I saw, there's a big Wu-Tang sign in the Times Square. And I said,
It's like mid-90s.
yeah. This is like the Wu-Tang Forever.
Yeah. So 97.
97.
Yeah.
So this guy said that was his most exciting moment
Of the trip.
of his trip. And here's a Wu-Tang guy 5 feet away from him. Dressed regular, but he don't, you know. But it was, so I was like, oh, shit. That meant something to me. And so when it came time for the Rage tour, it was like, nah, we go. There's a lot of white fans out there.
There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands.
That are ready for us. You know what I mean?
That was your light bulb moment for that?
That was more like a convincing moment for me, yes. And so my pitch to the team was, we go here first in the summer, and then on the fall homecomings, we go back and get the blacks. But that didn't feel good. You know what I mean? Because when you out there, and you Raekwon the chef, or you Ghostface Killah and shit, and you want your bitch and you want your shit, and not taking nothing from them, but you young, and you want to feel
a certain kind
that
of
hip hop thing you get when watch these rap get all up in your guts, and bitches is like that, and the bitches got on their rings and they fly. You want to see all that. See the Benz pull up. You want to see all your homies, man. You want to see that shit
reflected back at you.
Yeah, because that's how it was.
So you came up.
Yeah, that's 95. That's 96. When Cuban Links drop and you go to Philly, it's like, yo, all the ballers are there. Right? We doing Rage Against the Machine. We ain't hitting Philly. We hitting Camden.
Different energy. It's not the same.
You know what I'm saying?
Not the same.
But it's 30,000 people there.
Right.
Some people took to it and some people did not take to it.
My best thing, I had to talk with Questlove, really explained it better than me. Because after Wu dropped, they put the Roots on.
Yeah.
On the Rage tour.
Yeah.
Instead.
Yeah, and he said that tour ended up buying his first house, and it changed his life, he said. So he thanked me.
He thanked the Wu for falling apart.
Right? But one thing he said that stuck to me that I didn't consider, he said he was scared out there.
That's interesting. Why?
Because it's mad people out there. And here you are playing music. Like for me, that's an adrenaline rush for me. But for some people, it's nerve-wracking. I just watched the Stax documentary. Isaac Hayes said he was wearing his shades as a security blanket. I said, holy shit, I thought that was cool.
Right. But he was protecting himself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you don't never know. So when Questlove said that, I said to myself, maybe some of the brothers didn't feel it. Maybe they were scared. Maybe because the audience is 50 feet away.
Yeah.
They're not grabbing your knees.
The energy of it is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess it took time for us to, because when the New York State of Mind tour ended, nobody wanted to leave the stage.
I bet.
I'm talking nobody. Nas, everybody goes. Everybody was like, they didn't want to go. I was like, oh, now they get it. And it was we was playing Sheds.
Sure.
So it was the same thing basically.
Right.
So
we've talked about this present moment of Wu-Tang, dipping a little bit back into 97. Like, can we hit you with a few other Glory Days
hit me.
questions? Because I'm thinking about the Hot 97 ban. And Wu-Tang going to play Summer Jam, big radio station concert.
I think we wanted to go on last.
Okay.
But they put Bad Boy to go on before us.
Ooh.
And I think that's what it was.
Okay.
And then, back then I was buck wild. It just wilded out.
Right.
Wild out.
So did the Clan know you was about to say Hot 97 or?
Nah.
I think people of the new generation don't realize how much power rap radio had at the time. Like, you go out there. I mean,
it was the power.
Talk to me about the fork in the road of that moment. Like, what happens to Wu-Tang if you don't get banned from Hot 97?
If we didn't get banned from Hot 97 and their sister stations, and even a few other stations that followed their trend, it's almost like, I think Wu-Tang Forever, could have been Diamond.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I think, like, and other albums that came. I mean, we continued with albums. I mean, you figured after that, Capadonna comes, right, and he gets a gold album, but that's
with no support, like no.
Exactly. I mean,
and that was at
Bobby
a time,
Digital, no support.
and that was at a time when pop rate Z100s of the world weren't playing hip hop like that. You know, we're still a few years away from that happening. So all of a sudden, there's no outlet.
Raekwon's second album, RZA album, Ghostface, Supreme Clientele. Supreme Clientele got minuscule play, and you know, Hot 97 apologized to me like 2 years ago.
Wow, that's crazy. 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2023.
When we did the Madison Square Garden thing with them. And Funk Flex, you know, sat down with me and apologized. You know what I mean? But that was a kick in the nuts. And in hindsight now, it was a kick in the nuts to the culture.
Well, I wonder what you think about, because we're talking 97, so what you're right on the cusp of, obviously. 97 is a huge year, you know, Biggie's second album, we lose Biggie, Pac is just gone.
Yeah.
But what we're really on the cusp of in the late 90s is the beginning of the real rise of the South. And obviously you get into the early to mid 2000s, you have 50 and Ja. It's not that New York is gone, but it's not the same.
Exactly.
The energy is different, and all of the kind of like cultural power has reorganized around Cash Money, No Limit, Texas, Florida, Atlanta. And I wonder, do you think that Wu-Tang and Wu-Tang sort of all the tributaries being minimized in a way left space? It created
left a lot of space. First
for
of all,
other people.
First of all, it's hats off to them because their destiny is their destiny, right? But if you go back and look at the Wu-Tang empire, right, with the Wu-Tang Clan and all the solo members having success, Sons of Man, Killer Army, all these different, this hip-hop of New York, right, all, you know, having a potential to continue the rawness of hip-hop, the Grave Diggers, all these different chambers having a chance get stopped. And then another wave come in, and they come in to New York. You know, they come into New York radio, they come into, and one degree is great because the South culture gets a chance to rise, and those families, you know, get a chance. You know, when I went to New Orleans in the 90s, I almost cried from the poverty. Yeah. Seriously, I was like, oh, I thought I was, their poverty is deeper than our poverty. You know what I mean? And then the you know, New York, the education. New York, you go walk down the street and somebody is going to have a book. Or like people sell books on the corners of New York. You could pick up a book and learn business and this and that. Sure. Out there, it was economic deprivation, deprivement, and educational deprivement. You know what I mean? So when they got there, it's like. It was a blessing for hip hop to give that to them, but still, all the culture could have grown. What happened is that the New York culture, right now, everybody's chasing something to make you dance, something that that has maybe talking more to the girls or whatever, and you're missing Obama atomically, Socrates' philosophies and hypotheses can't define. You're missing that brain stimulation is going. You know what I mean? And it happened, and I do think that they could have. I do think that halt on us. It also halts a lot of others. So Nas make it through, like you said, 50 make it through. Ja Rule come through, but Ja Rule come through once again. Hook, melody.
Yeah, it's a different energy.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember first engaging with the No Limit stuff in the mid to late '90s, and there wasn't. Like, there's not a Wu-Tang Clan of No Limit. They're all solo or group acts. But I remember the family energy of being like, and it's like, if you like this one, if you like Fiend, you'll like Big Ed. If you like Big Ed, you'll like P. You'll like True. And it's, to me, I was like, that's very Wu-Tang. Right. It's a Wu-Tang idea.
The model of Wu-Tang has been emulated.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Everywhere. I would just say the lyrical content.
The
substance of Wu-Tang has it. Yeah. No disrespect, right? The model, we've made the model. Yeah. We've showed that you can come in collectively, right, and spread your culture. You know, when native tongues were native tongues, that was different. That was getting different deals and then coming together.
Right.
We came in like, here we are.
Right. There's no Native Tongues record deal group album.
Right.
It's just like a bunch of people that hung out together had similar
And
way of
became
thinking.
that, yeah.
Right.
But still very pioneering. But still, that was a big stop, right? And at the end of the day, like Questlove said, the Wu stop opens up for him. So the Wu stop opens up for others, and so the others, to me, that's the blessing of the Wu.
But to me, Wu-Tang moving in all these different spaces, and then eventually, like, the fact that you could sit with Quentin Tarantino at a certain point. Now, every rapper's like, I'm making a movie. I'm worth this director. This guy loves me. But when you did that,
it's pioneering.
No one was doing it.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that period of time when you were able to leverage, like, I'm the RZA,
Well,
I got some rooms I could get in. I want to be in these rooms. Tell us about that, and especially with the film stuff and Quentin and all that.
Well, thanks. It's not that I was leveraging myself. First of all, as an artist, my mission is to live art.
Yeah.
As a hip-hop artist, my mission is to spread hip-hop and show the hip-hop community that there's many ways that we could exist.
Yeah.
And then as a black artist, right, my mission is to show that there's no boundaries either. And in all those artist natures of me, I'm super confident that when I step into the party, give me my moment, it's going to be a party. Okay?
It's going off.
Right? And so when I entered Hollywood, I entered just being me. I think it was Harvey Weinstein had a movie, him and Quentin bought Iron Monkey.
Yep.
They was like, yo, we need somebody to market this thing. Like, who's gonna market a Kung Fu movie in New York City that's going to the theaters? And they reached out to the Shaolin Temple, and they was like, oh, there's a student there, RZA. Oh, the RZA from Wu-Tang, he can market it.
Perfect.
And they offered me like $60,000 or some shit. I was like, I don't need your money, bro. I saw that movie 5 years ago. I love that film. So you could donate it to the temple or something, right? But I said, only thing I request though is lunch. He said, why lunch? I said, well, you and your brother. I said, Harvey Weinstein and his brother, Bob, right?
Yep.
They are like Warner Brothers. They pioneered Warner Brothers, two brothers started in the barn. Those two brothers started Dimension and Miramax. Me and my brother started Wu-Tang production. New Yorkers, let's have lunch. And we had lunch. A point being made is that then he introduced me to Quentin.
Yeah.
And then we just hit off like buddies. There's the same likes, the same coolness. And then we started watching movies together. You know what I mean? When he come to town, Miramax will let me use the screening room. You can watch a movie there.
Something way out of print, and Quentin's like, you gotta see this, man.
Yeah, or something. Oh yeah, something.
Or
something.
vice versa.
Yeah, or vice versa, right? And then that just led to, I'm in LA. I'm showing a movie up at the crib, and I got my new script. I'd love for you to read.
Yeah.
And I read it, and it was Kill Bill. And I was like, wow, this is great. But the thing that attracted me, because what happened with me and Quentin, I told the story 100 times, but I'll just say it on your show as well, is that I saw in him a creative bone that was in me, but I didn't know how to define it or how to polish it. And I simply asked him, yo, can you help me kind of understand this? And he said yes. You know what I mean?
Because he saw it too.
Yeah, he definitely saw. I mean, he definitely, he loved Wu-Tang. And he's, Bobby Digital. He dug my art. So that was that. So it was always coolness in that. But he also, he's a generous teacher. That's why you could see him when he talks. He's generous with his wisdom. And so at the time, you couldn't just get it anywhere. You got to go to his house and get it.
Yeah.
Right? And I went to his house to get it. I mean, I went to his house dozens and dozens of times and watched so many movies. He let me look at his library and everything. And I just studied until the point came. And then, Eli would be popping up too, Edgar Wright and shit. But then the point came, he was like, he had this something that, I said, hey, Quinn, that was, wasn't that when we was, he said, yeah. He said, I'm a writer. A writer absorbs and writes. It was something that we was all talking about that ended up like kind of assimilated into some of his work, right? That was great. Like he took the letters and made a word. And I was like, well, that's deep. Then he's like, yeah, a writer takes and absorbs. And then he told me, you should write. Like, you keep looking like, write your own movie.
Right.
And I said, write my own movie. And so that's what led to that. And then eventually, of course, I write Man with the Iron Fist and get it made.
When you forge a weapon, you need 3 things. The right metal, temperatures over 1,400 degrees, and someone who wants to kill.
You're talking about writing as a collaboration, and that makes me think also of Wu-Tang. Like, in the documentary, you know, ODB gets out of prison, and you're helping him write verses. Like, you guys are sharing lines, you're writing for one another, and this is something that obviously goes back throughout hip-hop history, whether you're talking NWA or whatever it is, but it's also, I think, especially in the new school, controversial, right? Oh, ghostwriting, like, oh, RZA's ghostwriting for ODB? Like, you could hear somebody not schooled in the tradition saying that. Talk to me a little bit about your philosophy in terms of sharing bars and writing together as individuals and as a group.
Well, I think the foundation is you should write your own lyric, right? But I think writing your own lyrics is different than writing a song, right? So a song, everybody could chip in. You know, Raekwon had his verse. He wrote his own verse for Cream. Deck wrote his own verse for Cream. But if Method Man went and wrote the hook, it wouldn't have been a song.
Yeah.
Right? So I think when it comes to writing a song, it's cool. But for most of Wu-Tang lyrics, I'm gonna say almost 90%, every individual use their own pen.
Sure.
That 10% comes if somebody is stuck, lacking, need time, didn't have the exact experience, or like when Ghost was writing all that I got is you, he came to me because he knew that he had 6 brothers and sisters. I come from 11.
Yeah.
And so he was like, yo, let's talk about some of the things.
Common experiences.
Yeah, so the one thing about the 4 in the bed, that's my. It was 8. It was 4 per bed.
Right.
And then somebody pees the bed.
Yeah, 4 in the bed, 2 at the foot, 2 at the head. I didn't like to sleep with John, he peed the bed, 7 o'clock.
Right.
Right.
But he took that and applied it to his situation.
Yeah, because art does that. But I would say 90% of Wu-Tang is its own thing. And then there's a 10% of us helping each other when that was needed. Like I think there's a line. I got one line on the Wu-Tang Forever album. That's an Inspectah Deck line from an unreleased rap that he had on the tape when we was kids.
That you just
I just remember, something like he said, leave your brain in the fog. I said, it's yours. He had it on one of his old lyrics. No, I leave your brain in the fog. And I was doing, no, and leave your brain in the fog, tossing back to him. And then you may hear him throw one of my lines in.
Back at you.
Because that's like almost like we're complimenting each other by doing that. Yeah. But I was just say this to answer your question. The ghostwriting is 2 different things. Ghostwriting is somebody's writing all your shit, and you're acting like it's always you.
Right.
That's ghostwriting, right? That's like, but Shantae said this to me as a kid. She's like, Diana Ross don't write her own songs. Okay, most of our great, even Michael Jackson, a lot of those songs are not written by Michael Jackson.
Frank Sinatra,
etc.
Whitney Houston.
That's why it's a songwriters. That's the job. So I think it's okay, but in hip hop, let's say like 2 rappers that's battling. Now you're battling me. Now you're gonna have him write your battle.
Right. Then that's a different energy.
And now you're not battling me. I might as well just battle with him.
Yeah. All right, before we get to the lightning round, can I ask one, just for the heads, a nerd question?
Okay.
It's 2 parts.
I got one too. You go first.
All right. Obviously, in Los Angeles, you just had the fires, and people lost a lot of things at a personal. Madlib lost his entire library. You very famously had a flood in the early years where a lot of old stuff, unreplaced and I assume not backed up, was gone. I wonder if you can tell us anything about what was in that flood and does it ever pop back into your head? And the second part, and this is just a sidebar, I interviewed you many years ago for an oral history of Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links. And we were talking about Nas on Verbal Intercourse. And you said in that interview that there's actually a second Nas song that you guys did in that era that didn't make that cut. Where's that song?
The Nas song has to be on some tape somewhere, on some 2-inch.
You don't
somewhere.
know where it is.
So it has to be on some.
Okay.
Somebody got to have those masters, right? Should be me,
Should
but
be.
but I don't keep control of my brother Divine probably got the.
But it exists.
Yeah, Divine probably got it in the vault.
It's on. It's somewhere.
It exists.
There's a copy.
It definitely exists.
It could happen. We could hear it at some point.
Very possible.
Okay. Just noting.
And then for the first
flood
one was the
question,
flood. Yeah, the flood destroyed a lot of things. A lot of my beats were made on floppy. Was on floppy disk back
This
then.
is what year is the flood? This is.
I had 2 floods. The first one is actually 93. After Wu was out already, and I'm making Meth album, and then Deck album and RZA album. All those albums was already pre-made.
Yeah.
And then the flood washed all that away, and I had to recreate. But here goes something cool about that. So the floppy disk all got damaged in the flood. So you can't I put them inside the machine.
Don't read.
No, don't read. I still have the floppy disk.
Wow.
And on this tour, I'm going to take these floppy disks and I'm going to put them in something, and maybe somebody in the future could figure it out. To be quite frank, brothers, I've lost way more than I've shared.
Sure.
And that's just how life is.
Right.
I mean, but I've been blessed to share what has provided, Can I point out one thing real quick?
Yeah.
Please.
So hip-hop has saved a lot of families. We know that.
Of course.
And then I look at Wu-Tang itself, right? So first Wu-Tang saves, of course, me and my family. I got 11 brothers and sisters and all these nieces and nephews. And we've been able to, nobody never had a empty refrigerator. But we grew up welfare kids with just a block of cheese in the refrigerator. So it saves, but then it also saves Method Man's family, Old Dirty's family, Raekwon's family, and all the way down to the whole rest of the clan. But then it also saves and puts economics in their managers. It puts economics in the engineers. It puts economics, it just continued to economically feed so many families and communities, you know what I mean? And to me, that's the blessing of hip hop. And that's the blessing of when that Wu came to the system, right? If you see somebody like Jay-Z was like, yo, I got the blueprint from you. That means the Wu is doing what it's supposed to do.
Right, because it's
You know
shaped
what I mean?
Rockefeller.
And then somebody said to me recently, somebody who was mad at me, he had one of my colleagues, and he said to me, are you mad at what I did? I said, no, I'm not mad at what you did. Because you did something that benefited your family. He did something that was kind of like whatever, but he gained something from it for his family. I said, is your wife and your kids all happy right now? I said, yeah. That's what the Wu was about. Forget how I personally feel.
Right.
Okay? Personally, me and you, we don't got to talk for a year. But if the Wu was able to feed your household, when I was doing my movie Man with the Iron Fist, it was 400 people working for me. That's jobs. When we did the Wu-Tang series, shot right in New York and New Jersey, we shot on Staten Island. We was able to bring computers, to, iPads to schools. This is, the series, just to be quite frank, the series, you're talking about $300 million being spent.
Yeah.
On communities, on families, on now you got actors who, this actor becomes a millionaire because he's playing this role. So that's my goal, right? To do as best as my blessings can do to multiply my blessings. And you asked me earlier, like, why this or why the Hollywood thing? Me, I'm leaving footprints, kid.
Exactly, and that's sort of what I feel like I was trying to get at, which is that at the time, living through it, I remember watching those moves, and they seemed so improbable when they happened, but then a few years later, it seemed inevitable.
Respect.
And that, to me, is the real gift of Wu-Tang in that moment, is that you looked at a playing field that was not built for you, and you said, "Fuck it, like." We're going to go here, we're going to play it this way, we're going to try out here, we're going to put ourselves in maybe a unfamiliar situation and make something of it.
And then the footprints is there, and other dudes can now, instead of trying to think he's going to be a hip-hop producer, he'd be a composer.
Exactly.
Instead of being a composer, he writes a jingle.
Exactly.
Right? as you see my new voiceover for the for the Beats commercial.
Oh yeah, for the Beats commercial. Yeah.
Hey, do voiceovers, kids.
That's common.
I got one.
Shout out common.
I got one quick one for you before we get to the lightning round. You're gonna pull some cards. We'll answer a couple fun questions and then we'll try a snack. But first, there's a passing moment in the documentary. I don't think I've ever heard you talk about it again. You said ODB asked me to break him out of jail. Tell me that story. There was no follow-up, but I need to hear a little more.
That's funny because, yeah, he did. And, and I considered it.
What was that call like?
Man, it was just like, yo, you got to get me out of here, God. Like, you got to use your power to get me out of here.
What's your best idea?
He's like, I know you can do. He said, I know you could do it.
Tunnel?
Man, I was like, I didn't know what to do. That was a tough one. Cause I'm at one point I considered myself a cop, right?
Really?
No, because I stand for justice. Some of these cops they're not keeping up.
You mean in the abstract philosophical sense?
Yeah, in the philosophical, serving, protecting, and dealing with justice. That, when I wear my star on my neck, I'm standing for justice. But when my family was caught up in that moment, he wanted me to do something. I didn't know what to do, but I definitely thought I did have a meeting. Okay, I did have a meeting
with.
I won't say no names, but I had a meeting.
People who get that kind of thing done.
I had a meeting, yeah. Okay, and then I was like. I had a meeting.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that for now.
We'll leave it at that. All right, lightning round. We got 52 cards, 52 questions. We'll do 5 of these, have a snack, and then get you on your way back into the cold. I did want to point out, you're very much dressed for the New York cold. Is this because you've been in LA too long? And then every time you come to New York, you're fully bundled? Well, even when indoors?
Hey, you know what I mean? When I get here, my closet got the gadgets.
That's what I'm saying. That's what the New York closet is.
Look at it.
I know, literally. All right, let's
pull a card. Let us know what you got.
All right, I got number 7.
7 of
clubs.
Tell us about your first car.
Oh, I bet that was a good one.
Oh, my first car was it was called the Guard Mobile.
Okay.
All right, it was a 4-door Lincoln something.
Like one of the big body ones?
Big body,
like
4-door car,
joints.
used car.
Yeah.
We bought it. All the girls made jokes. The girls called it the Guard Mobile because all the guards always used to be in it. Mm-hmm. And I remember just one day driving in it, and it had the girl found the mouse in the back. It was that big. It was a mouse living in that motherfucker. Yeah.
Your first car had mice.
Yeah.
What color we talking?
Brown.
And it was like
the mouse or the car?
The car. It was ugly, bro.
But it was one of those huge cars. Was it like kind of like heavy because it was so big?
Listen, I don't want to talk about my new film yet. I'll come back and do that.
Okay.
But I actually had the art director get a car similar to it, just because of I'm creating my own thing with it.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so sorry.
That's great. All right, pull another.
Okay, and I try to make them rapid fire. 9 of heart.
All right, here we go. 9 of hearts. Who's your OG? Who do you turn to for advice?
I guess nowadays I have to just go to my father. My father's 82 now, and he's it's a joy talking to him. We spent a lot of years not talking, maybe up to my 40s.
Really?
Yeah, because we had
while you were taking off.
Yeah, we
no contact.
We didn't spend a lot of time then. Very few times, but that's my man, my best, my best, and I'm fortunate. I have a wife, and I also have my brother Devon.
Of course.
Yeah.
A question about with your father. Does your father communicate with you as the boy who has not yet become the RZA, or does he communicate with you as the adult who has lived this life?
The adult, but he also can go back. Like he'll tell me things about me that he saw
before it all.
Yeah. He said something. He always said you was a brain baby, because you would eat everything but never grow. It's and they call he said down south they call that brain babies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
4 diamond.
All right, we got 4 of diamonds. What's your first memory?
My grandfather's birthday. I was 3 years old, and they had a cake, and the cake had flowers on it, or and I was like, "Why is there flowers on the cake?" And I threw it across the street. I was with my cousin Zach. And
The whole cake?
No, my slice.
Oh.
My slice.
You're like, flowers
on it. Flowers on the cake didn't make sense to me. Second memory is my father holding me in his arms, breaking up the furniture before he left. That's my second memory. Just give you 2 for 1.
Wow.
All right, hit us with 2 more from the deck.
Oh, 6 of spade.
In what ways are you still immature?
This is the therapy portion,
Yeah.
even though it's the fun portion, but it's the therapy portion.
I mean, I still like to play with toys, right? I still play like kung fu. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now I get to play it with my grandson. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All right, last one, and then we'll hit a snack.
9 o'clock. We got 2 9s in the building.
All
7
right,
o'clock, 9
9
o'clock.
clubs.
This is a good one.
Some more therapy. Does any part of your body cause you stress?
I mean, this one shoulder right here, if I don't work out and keep exercising, it'll let me know. Because Tony Jaa put a move on me when we did this film. And he gave me a lifelong injury.
Really?
Not intentionally. He told me that when he do it, I got to do. I didn't tap out. I tried to be whatever I was trying to be.
You do your own stunts.
Whatever. It's Tony Jaa, bro.
Yeah, you got to be there.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, don't take him as no joke. This guy's a master. You watch the movie, it's called The Protector 2. You'll see my face.
You're like, oh, that hurt for real.
That was for real.
Yeah. We're gonna pull that clip.
Yo, you'll see my face. When he threw that shoulder move on me, it's never been the same.
All right, before you go, every episode of Popcast, John and I, big snack heads. We always try an exotic snack to give it a rating out of 10. You, not really a snack guy. I hear you eat pretty healthy.
Pretty healthy.
You're vegan?
Yep.
How long?
Decades. Yeah, there you go, decades. I like that.
Strict, as long as you can remember.
Yeah.
All right. So we got you a plant-based candy. This is Sweet
We're an
Haven.
accommodating podcast.
Chewy tropical mix, peach mango, and coconut and passion fruit vegan snack.
It don't,
so,
let me say this before I eat it.
Yeah.
It don't sound good.
No, don't sound good at all.
doesn't sound good. But
But
look,
look, here's
that's
the
part
thing.
of.
Here's the thing. You got to rate it with your heart. If it's a 0, it's a 0.
All right, we got peach, mango, or coconut passion fruit. You want
Let's
to pick
go-
or you want to go
let's-
blind?
let's go blind.
Blind. All right, I'm going blind. You go blind.
We go blind.
John will go blind.
How you know you got?
It's on the wrapper.
bottom line
Oh,
of the.
I got a peach.
You got
I have
peach.
coconut passion fruit.
The
Look at
craziest
that.
thing is I actually don't like peach candy.
Uh-oh. This is like pretty rock hard for a chew.
It's a
Yeah.
chewy.
You gotta chew it first to make it chewy.
Alright.
I mean, definitely stale. First of all,
Yeah. But you know what?
it's like a high chew.
Yeah, know what it tastes like? You definitely don't have no f***ed up teeth eating.
Yeah.
No, you're
It's
gonna lose.
not good for good teeth. Bad teeth. Builds up a lot of saliva. You notice that?
Oh yeah.
And making your mouth work.
Talk about wetness.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But
Not bad actually.
Not
Once
bad.
you get through the shell.
yeah. Once you get through that carnauba wax, mine's is pretty good. I don't like peach.
You want to try the mango? I got it.
No. This is pretty good. I gotta say because it tastes like the popsicle, the creamsicle.
Creamsicle.
Tastes like a creamsicle.
Interesting.
And I like creamsicles when I was a kid. How do yours taste?
I like the flavor, but the chewing experience is so laborious. It's like a good snack has to be efficient. It's a snack. I'm not trying to.
Sometimes I like to work first.
I'm not. I got things to do.
Not a pistachio
guy. No, I got things to do. I got places to go. This is I'm gonna give this a 5.5. I think the flavor is strong, but I feel like I'll be chewing this like long after you've left the building. I'll still be chewing this.
I'm not going to finish it.
You're done.
Not to be funny, but look,
It's still chewing.
I've been chewing it for 3 minutes.
Look at it.
It's still.
It's bigger now.
Somehow it grew. Yeah. I'll give it a 6. I like the mango. The mango. I'd eat more of those. I'm going 6 out of 10.
I'll stay at 6 with you, right? I mean, if it was smaller, They should make this like more like Tic Tac size.
Shift system. Right, exactly.
And then they maybe have a business.
All right.
Do you have a preferred vegan snack? Like while we're here, is there a vegan snack that people should try?
You know, just get some cashews, bro.
That's exactly right.
I love cashews.
That's
I
where
love
the joy
I love
is.
walnuts. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh, my favorite snack is pistachios. That's my favorite snack.
That's a very just
That's a
snack.
good snack. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
The RZA, what a joy.
Thanks for
Really
being
appreciate
here.
Thanks
you
for
being
inviting
here.
me, and I see you brothers in the future.
Happy to have you. That's our show. Every episode of Popcast is at nytimes.com/Popcast. You can see this and all our other interviews, Bad Bunny, Andre 3000, Jelly Roll, etc., etc., etc. YouTube.com/Popcast. Subscribe anywhere you get your audio content. That's Spotify, Apple, so on and so forth. Thanks to the whole team who's here today. Thanks to everybody working on the episode remotely. We'll be back next week.
Back to jail bells, bonds, man. Strength of 18 bronze man. Tall like Carmelo Melman. Framed on Larry Johnson. Tony Montana blow. Creamy white Havana Joes. Oh, Susanna.